Hey everyone, my name is Alina. I am here at the amazing, beautiful Upaya Retreat Center, and I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the Get Your Shit Together retreat. I'm so lucky and grateful to have been able to go to the last one last month in January. It's only been 3 weeks and I have already seen immense change. My parents tell me almost every day how much I've changed for the better. I am manifesting my dream life. I'm becoming the person who I've always wanted to be but always been too scared to or put excuses. It's amazing, to say the least. It is amazing. It is the one thing that if I could share with everyone, I would share this. It's hosted by the amazing Amy Joy. She is my beautiful friend and mentor, and I am so immensely grateful for her, for teaching me all of this, for giving me all the tools, the new tools in my toolbox. It is all about oneness and growth, personal growth, spiritual growth, and about manifesting the life that you want, becoming the person you want to be. So yeah, this is something that is interesting to you. It is here at Upaya. There's amazing food. 7 people who were complete strangers and turned them into a family who adores each other in 6 days. Amazing. I talk to those people every day. I have so much love for them because we grew together and we learned together. So if this is something that you would like to do, if this is something that's calling you, please go. It will change your life. I know it has changed mine, and everyone who came has changed forever.
Are you ready to get your shit together? Isn't that what we are all truly trying to do? In this fun, life hack full show, we will learn together how to navigate this roller coaster called life. We, as glorious messy humans, can sit in the proverbial third car, grumpy and bored, or in the front of the roller coaster having the time of our lives. What do you choose? In this show, you can expect meaningful content and practical takeaway tools to make life easier and exceptionally more joyful. There will be epic guests who already love their lives, allowing them to share their get your shit together tips and words of wisdom. Life is too long and too short to not love your life. Welcome to Get Your Shit Together Live with Amy Joy. Hello and welcome to Get Your Shit Together Live with Amy Joy, and I'm your host, Amy Joy. Happy Thursday and congratulations on your abundance. Take a moment right now and just notice how abundant you truly are. There's a nasty program out there that wants us to believe that we are in lack, that we're lacking joy, we're lacking things, we're lacking intelligence, we're lacking whatever, and it's not true. It's simply not true. So take a look around and feel and see all the things that you are so abundant in. I feel very, very abundant right now because we have Dr. Aziz in the house. He is an epic human. He is the master of all things confidence. And I recently got to hang out with him for a whole week here in Upaya Retreat Center at the Cabo VIP Mastermind and got to know him even more. I also had the amazing privilege of working for him for about a year. And wow, what an amazing human. The topic of conversation we're going to talk about today is being unapologetically you, to own your confidence. How often do we feel not confident, and how much joy and how much opportunity is that holding us back from? And so today he's going to give us some practical tools and takeaways so that we can learn just a little bit more about how to own our confidence. Amazing. Remember, stay tuned for Mantra Magic and Meditation Moment. It's always a life hack full show. Thank you for spending your very precious time with us today. All right, you know what time it is. It's time to change your state, elevate. All right. And so we are blessed to have Dr. Aziz. He's going to come on right now, go right into his little trick. I know he has many on how to change your state. So welcome, Dr. Aziz. There you
Hey,
are.
Amy.
Welcome,
Good to be
welcome.
here with
Thank
you.
you. Thank
Just
you for
dive right
being here.
in.
Yes, dive right
Okay.
in.
So there's so many, but this one I find to be really powerful because sometimes I got to slow down and I should meditate or whatever. This one you can do literally in 30 seconds and ideally standing, but you can do it sitting too. And if you're sitting, you want to sit fully upright or you stand and you're going to take your arms up above your head and you're going to actually tilt your head up a little bit. So you're looking up at the sky.
Okay.
And you're kind of bringing your chest out, bringing your heart, like your heart wants to burst right through your chest wall. Your shoulder blades are coming together. You're really opening up there right in the center of your heart. Your eyes are closed and you're breathing. And then you're going to be expanding your perspective because when we're struggling, when our state is not quite optimal, we're really usually narrowly in ourselves. So in this place, you're going to expand your awareness out, even further out. For me, the place I like to go is Mount Hood. It's like the top of a mountain I like to hike at. For you, it might be imagining like a bird looking down from flying up above the trees, an eagle soaring in the sky, even higher up, the atmosphere, the twinkling stars, the moon, the sun, or if you really like to go out there like I do, literally imagining galaxies. Something that expands your perspective. And then from that expanded perspective, maybe even expanding it in time, not just this moment, but a larger time frame, months, years, decades, a lifetime, your soul's timeline, cosmic timeline, letting yourself be as expanded as possible. And then from that vantage point, from the future, from space, from divine timing, you bring your attention back from that perspective to yourself with the wisdom and love and support and deep knowing that comes from that expanded timeline. And you take a full breath in, you receive all of that. Then you can let your arms go down and open your eyes.
Wow, that is amazing. I have never in my life seen anyone do that, and I love learning new things. Thank you. That was so good. So
Yeah.
good. I hope you are all doing that at home. Love to hear what your thoughts are and how you feel now in comparison to how you felt 2 minutes ago. Amazing. Thank you, Dr. Aziz. I'll have you right back on in just a sec. But right now, it's time to get our shit together. That's why we're here. All right. So Dr. Aziz is a psychologist and author who is internationally known as one of the world's leading experts on confidence. Through his coaching, books, videos, and online media, he has helped thousands of people break through shyness, social anxiety, and self-doubt to create richer, happier, more confident lives. He is truly amazing. I'm so honored to have you. Welcome. Put your hands together for Dr. Aziz. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
So good to have you here.
I love it. I'm excited. I'm excited to have this conversation about being more confident and unapologetically yourself. I love that phrase and it is so needed. And it's part of getting your shit together because that's part of why we don't have it together is we're not connected with ourselves. We're doing what we're supposed to do. We're pleasing. We're trying to meet everyone else's desires and agenda. And then I'm left with less or not my own life, maybe even.
It's true. I was a born and bred people pleaser. Programmed hard to think about everyone else except for me. Like I remember I was on a plane once and they said in case of lack of cabin pressure, mask will fall from the ceiling. If you're with your child, place the mask on yourself first and then assist the child. And I literally out loud said, hell no, I wouldn't do it. And the lady beside me heard me and said, honey, and she said it in such a way that she grabbed my attention and I was like, yes, And she's like, if you're not around, who's going to take care of the kids? And I was like, what? I factor in? What? I had no idea. I had never been taught to take care of this first so that I would have more to share. And so, yeah, it's really important. This subject is really important. And the time I spent working for you was so special. You have raving fans, Aziz. I really want to honor the way you do and the way you be in the world, because the people that have followed you and have sought your help and expertise have been changed forever. And they are so loyal. And it's because of the love and because of the actual help that you give them. So I just really wanted to say that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're amazing. So why do you do what you do? What got you started on this whole idea of confidence?
Yeah. I do what I do now because I want other people to experience what I would call life outside the cage. And it really feels like a cage of people pleasing, of excessive niceness. And there's a lot of fear and anxiety of doing it wrong and upsetting people. And what if guilt? What if I break the rules and then I've hurt somebody? And I lived in that cage for so many years, and it radically restricts your life.
Yeah.
And so I experienced that. And a cousin of excessive niceness and people pleasing is social anxiety, right? I'm afraid of other people are going to think of me, I'm afraid of judgment. So then I kind of keep myself really small in the world. I don't express myself. So I was doing all of that. And I thought that this is just how it is. This is just who I am. There was not an awareness that was changeable. I really didn't think it was. And so I kind of resigned myself to that life. And of course, when you do that, that's pretty depressing.
Yep.
And you just try to cope, which I did with all kinds of things, video game, alcohol, cannabis, porn, whatever, just to try to get through. And then eventually fortunately, it reached a breaking point where I had this moment of, I could almost sense and feel the decades ahead of my life all being like that. Oof. And it felt so bad that something cracked, and I was like, okay, I got to do something. And it was different than like, oh, I wish it was different, man. It was like, I am something. It's like a transform energy was moving through me. And so I started to really look for solutions, and I discovered that they exist and that we have to apply them. And then I became obsessed. That was at age 21. I'm 42 now. So it's been 21 years, and I've been obsessed that whole time. It first started with me. It was like, how do I have the confidence to get a girlfriend? I never had a girlfriend in my life at 21. How do I have the confidence to do that? And I'm scared in groups. I don't talk to people. I don't speak up. How do I have the confidence to do that? And I became obsessed, and I studied it, and I started to apply it and noticed that it's a learnable skill. It's like a muscle.
Yeah.
And boldness is a muscle. And you can go from a shy, timid person to a courageous person, a leader. And it's not overnight. It's like a practice, like a muscle you build over time. But if you're committed, it's absolutely inevitable.
Yeah.
And then over time, as I started to experience more and more freedom in myself, I said, okay, how do I help others? So I went to get training and as a clinical psychologist, and then in coaching and leadership in groups. And now the game is, how do I create environments and systems to help people move into, take that leap of faith like I did. And then on the other side of it, experience freedom, like who they really are, liberation, ultimately.
And freedom is the thing. And this is why I do what I do. I'm such an advocate for freedom, for all the freedoms. and thank you for bringing freedom to so many people. So what do you think is the common myth about confidence? What it requires, how much work it is, like what's the common myth about that?
Yeah, the biggest myth, and the one that stops most people from having the confidence that they want, is a belief that it's unchangeable. That's a fixed trait.
Yeah.
It's kind of doled out at birth, like the deck of cards or something, and like your eye color, which is completely not true. And it's either doled out at birth or early experiences in childhood, which are also now unchangeable. It's, you're 30, 40 years old. What are you gonna do about when you were 3? But because of those experiences, it's fixed. So whether it was nature or nurture, This is just how it is. This is just who I am.
Yeah.
Completely false. The truth is that people will say, I can't, I'm not able to. The truth is, I would be uncomfortable or scared
Right.
or vulnerable
Right.
speaking up, saying no, asking for something, being more boldly myself in the world. And I don't want to face that discomfort. Maybe I even have a story in my head that says if I were to do that, it's not just uncomfortable, it would be catastrophic. Something
Right.
awful would happen, and I'd be a bad person too. So because of all that, I don't want to feel any of that. I will just use a shorthand that says I can't, or I'm not that way.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest myth.
Absolutely. We get our shit together right here on the show. So everyone at home and even us right now, let's take a minute to just think about that for a second. Where are you at in your confidence? Do you feel like you live unapologetically you? And if not, how has that affected you? What has been the cost of that? And just in your present moment, what has been the cost? How do you feel? What don't you do? What are you missing out on? And then we call it, I think Tony taught us this. You're a Tony follower too, Tony Robbins, the rocking chair, right? You go all the way to the end of your life and you're sitting in the rocking chair and you're looking back. And if you don't make a change, what can you expect out of your life over like what you said earlier, decades of feeling this way? So just take a moment right now and then decide, do you want to keep it this way or not? Because you don't have to. You don't have to. But sometimes, well, not sometimes, I personally believe as humans, well, Tony says this too, we'll do more to avoid pain than to move towards pleasure, but we're really good at avoiding the pain. So right now, I want you to see it, like really see it. What has been the cost? And this isn't for more guilt or any of that. This is just for awareness. And now with some leverage on yourself, okay, what do we want? So what is on the other side, Aziz? What does freedom feel like for you on the other side?
Yeah. Well, imagine you were wearing shoes that were 3 sizes too small for hours, every day you had to put those shoes on. And it was, your feet were getting messed up. They're mangled and bruised and bunions and you could hurt to walk every step. And then imagine one day you get to take those shoes off and never put them on again. Like you get to wear shoes that fit you.
Woo.
And just like think about it, you could walk, you would feel joy. And what would happen is there'd be this elation, like, wow. And then all of a sudden you wouldn't be so focused on your feet and you'd say, well, where do I want to run? How do I want to hike? What do I want to do? And you just start living your life. And that's what life outside of the cage is. There's moments of like breakthrough, like, wow. Oh. And then it becomes you living your life, the life you're meant to live, who you really are. And that's the gift that keeps on giving. It's not this incredible ecstatic high. It's a steady, joyful aliveness of I'm in the right place at the right time. I am grateful for who I get to be with. The relationships around me are a reflection of me, of health, of healthy exchange of ideas and disagreements that we work through. You're not afraid of everyone anymore. Afraid of this email's coming in. Oh, I'm sick in my stomach. Even before I read it, I'm just like, they're mad at me. And you're like, oh, I wonder what they said. And even if someone's mad at me, we can work through that.
Yeah.
And so you get to move through life with more power and authenticity. And there's all these things that come from it. You can have better relationships. You can excel at work. You can step into leadership. There's all the goodies out there, the things. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think that freedom to be you brings truly the most fulfillment at the end of the day.
Yeah, because we got to live in this body. Like we got to live here. We should be comfortable here.
The one we got this round.
What if we were comfortable right here? Yeah. So much joy, so much freedom has come from this process. And you taught me so much in your Unstoppable Mastermind. And it was so fun to be in these groups with people and talk about all the Well, the transformation, because you would give us practical things that we had to actually do and little steps. And then we'd go out and do it, whether we were scared or not. And then everyone would race back and go, we did it. It wasn't that bad,
Hmm.
and this happened and that happened because I did that. It was so cool. So cool. So what is your go-to quick strategy to boost confidence? What's a little tip you could give us right here, right now?
Well, there are many. I'd say it really depends on what's needed in the moment. So ultimately, you hit it on the head when you're describing the events that I'll do for people, and the larger mastermind overall is a process of essentially confidence is a byproduct of action. And so if we want to build confidence in ourselves, we must take the actions. Which kinds of actions? Well, the ones that are in what you want to be able to do. So if you want to be able to speak up in groups, you want to be able to give a presentation, you want to be able to go approach someone you're attracted to, you want to have a more direct conversation with someone that maybe you're intimidated by, whatever it is, ultimately, you do that thing to get the confidence. Where if we're waiting for the confidence to go do it, it'll never happen. And that's why we spend much of our lives waiting it out. But you might say, well, wait a minute, but I'm scared. It's overwhelming. I don't think I can. I'm stuck. That's where the biggest tip is, I call it titrating it down. So give the presentation to everybody all at once. Oh, I'm freaked out. Okay. Think of that's like 100-pound weight in the gym. Titrate it down. If you can't lift 100 pounds, can you lift 20 pounds? And there's no shame. There's no ego. It's like, was it 10? They think about a personal trainer. Was it 10? Is it 20? Is it 15? We just got to find what you can do 6 times where you get the burn in your arm. Great. I don't care what the number is. And that's how I am with people. So for some people, it's, well, I can speak up with several colleagues in a more informal setting, but I'm still nervous. Okay, great. That's our edge. I've worked with people all the way down where it's like picking up the phone to call a shoe store to ask what hours they're open produces that fear. And that's their 5-pound weight. I'm like, great, let's do that. Because I know that if you lift the weight, if you practice that consistently, it will ultimately, that person, I've seen it. They're lifting a 20-pound weight, and then they're in a meeting, and then all of a sudden you become stronger. So that's the key thing, is to bring it down to the level that's right at the edge. And if you're wondering what's the edge, put things on a scale of 1 to 10. And 10 is the stuff that freaks you out. 1 is the stuff that you're like, is that even a concern? And find things that are like 3 to 4 to start, and just start doing them regularly. This is the biggest pitfall people read all the time. Do what scares you. Life is outside your comfort zone. And they get all hopped up, and then they imagine something like that's a 10 for them, and then they don't do it. And then they beat themselves up. Oh, I suck. I'm a coward. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And you stay in that cycle. That pattern runs indefinitely until we change it. You don't beat yourself into confidence. And so when you catch that and you say, wait a minute, that's not going to help me. What's the 3? What's the 4? Yeah. And I've never had someone where we couldn't titrate it down enough where they could do it. No matter what, someone can do it. And then you build from there.
So you said 2 things that are like, wow, like lights and fireworks going off. That program will run indefinitely until you change it. Number 1. That program, if we don't change the program, it will run indefinitely until we change it. Woof. Take that in, everyone. Take that in. And then the next thing you said that was so great is there was nothing that you weren't able to titrate down to be able to do it. Nothing. When you say nothing, you mean nothing?
Yeah, I've never met a person who was not able to do, we couldn't pinpoint something.
Exactly.
Now, I've met a lot of people who come to me and say, well, I can't do it, and I've tried, and this and that and that, right? But I've been able to go, how about this? How about that? How about that? How about that? How about that? I remember I worked with this gentleman, and he was from Italy, and he's like, I can't do anything. Nothing. And we found the smallest thing. And for him, it was literally, starting a conversation with a stranger was overwhelming. Asking what time is it was overwhelming. And I said, what if you just stood here? We were on a street corner. I was like, what if we just stood here on the street corner and just watch people walk by? And he's like, but that's not doing anything. I was like, I know. But how nervous are you? And he's like, well, I'm pretty nervous. Like, give it a number. He's like, a 5. To stand on a street corner. And I was like, okay, how would we make it less intense? Now, most people wouldn't ask that question. They'd say, great, that's not so bad. Do it. And he said, well, what would make it less intense? We were kind of like out on the sidewalk. And if we stood several feet back, like against a building wall, it was like a 3. And we stood there. Now, later that same day, within like an hour, he was walking down the street saying hi to people like, hey, how's it going? How you doing? Like groups of people waving his hand. Never done anything like that in his life before. And I'm sure, and you might hear that and say, well, that guy's real. He's deep in the cage. I'm not that restricted. Yeah, but it's the same for every single one of us. I'm highlighting that in these extreme cases of social anxiety, if someone can do it there, then whatever we're facing here is absolutely. And any story of like, I can't, I don't have the time, I'm too busy, is just basically saying, I'm uncomfortable and I'm not willing to be uncomfortable. And that goes back to what Amy was, guiding us through there, is if you're not willing to be uncomfortable to create an extraordinary life of freedom and being who you really are, then you're probably not doing the rocking chair test and really seeing what could happen and what happens if we don't. And when we really see what the pain of a life not fully lived, then we're willing to be just a little bit uncomfortable consistently to create something so magical.
Absolutely. And I would love your take on this, because aren't we already uncomfortable being this like we're already uncomfortable in our non-confidence, in our not feeling good, and we're already uncomfortable. So what?
Yeah, it's not even working.
What?
Like the avoidance isn't even working.
No, we're really uncomfortable. I mean, when I can only speak for myself, but when you're lacking confidence and you're so scared, I'm thinking mostly of being a teenager. That's where there was so much fear of people's judgment and whether you're going to be accepted or not. And if that's uncomfortable, being not confident, So if you have to get uncomfortable to get confident, well, you're already good at being uncomfortable, really.
I love that. Yeah. And what it is, it's almost like the dose. And so it's kind of like taking a dose all at once or doling it out for a long period of time. So you take the discomfort. So let's say you're going to go talk to that person and say, hey, this is what I think. And maybe they're going to say, ooh, I don't like you, or I disagree, or get away from me. And we get, 30 points of discomfort. We're like, oh, that feels bad. Now, if you don't, you say, oh, I don't want to talk to that person. Geez, they're going to dislike me. You're worried about it. You're feeling anxious about it. That's like 3 discomfort points.
Yeah.
And then you don't say anything. And then you go home that night and you're kind of like frustrated because you didn't speak up. And then that's another 3 points. And then the next morning you feel kind of bad about yourself and you feel lower self-esteem. And, and over weeks and months, you've accumulated hundreds. You've accumulated so much more discomfort because we didn't want to just take the dose right at the front and then break through the other side.
Yes, I absolutely. Like on the other side of this, and of course you're always learning and growing, and you never arrive. We're glorious, messy humans. And I'm telling you, I am so not uncomfortable. I'm less uncomfortable now because I went through the little steps to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? The more comfortable with the uncomfortable we can be, the greater life is. And I know that that's a fact.
Yeah.
I know
100%.
that's
and that's discomfort of interactions, social interactions, discomfort of being able to be with our own feelings. So much of our suffering is we're in a constant state of flight from our own feelings, our own fear, our own desire, our own sadness, our own longing, even sometimes our own happiness or joy, where we turn it down. We're just like uncomfortable. So expanding that capacity. And everyone gets this on a physical metaphor. If you were to avoid all movement and be 100% sedentary, your body would literally atrophy away.
Yes.
And if, just very sedentary lifestyle, you'll have a lot of health problems. So we all know that, like, avoiding the gym, avoiding walking, avoiding using my body causes more pain. So I love how you're highlighting that. And then hopefully it helps us make the choice to just jump in. And you had said something so important about the events that you were at. People, we do it and we're like, oh, and that's almost always the case, that it's like we can handle it way better than we think. It's the anticipation is so much worse than the actual experience, because the actual experience is life. It's your full self is there. You have thoughts, you can respond. It's happening. It's not just all in your head. And the anticipation is where we can't handle it, because it's not even happening. It's just all this fantasy, and we're spooking ourselves with these horror stories. And so that's the key takeaway here is it's uncomfortable, but when you step into it, it's way less uncomfortable. You get so much out of it, and your power increases, your confidence increases, so you can go do it again and do more and more. And eventually things that used to be really uncomfortable are nothing. They're easy. They're fun. Can you literally imagine what it would be like to actually speak in front of a group of people and have fun? Like, that would have been so impossible to me in my own head when I was younger. Or to approach someone you're attracted to and be excited. Like, it used to be this almost terror, like I'm walking the plank or something, which, by the way, best way to approach somebody, like, oh God, please don't hurt me, I'm going to die. Right. But I had to go through that messy stage. And then eventually there was these moments where I built up more confidence. I'd done it enough. I'd faced the discomfort, and then I'd see someone over across the room, and there would be like ooh, I'm nervous, but there would be a, ooh, like going on a roller coaster, like, ooh, who's that? What moment might we have here?
Exactly. You're reminding me of my goddaughter was here a couple weeks ago, and we were down on the beach, and she loves the game Truth, Dare, Double Dare, and loves it, like obsessed with the game. And so I'm like, okay. I said truth or dare, and she says dare, and I said, okay, go speak to 3 people on the beach and give them a genuine compliment, and see if you can find out their name. And her eyes, she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, just do one person, just do one. And she was so dedicated that regardless of her uncomfortableness, she went out and did it. And then she comes running back. She goes, that was fun. She's so-and-so, and she's from this place, and she has her daughter here. And it was amazing. And I said, so then she says, let's play it again. I said, okay, go do the second person. And she did 3 people within a few minutes. And by the end, I'm like, wasn't that easy? Isn't it easy now? She goes, it really is. After 10 minutes.
Amazing moment. How old is she?
She's 11.
Wow. Oof. What great lessons to learn at 11.
But you helped me with that, Aziz. You helped me. Little steps to be able to do that. And in that moment, I remembered, ooh, teachable moment here. How can I help her in life with this game? And she did it. I was so proud.
Yeah.
She did
Beautiful.
it.
Yeah.
And she has that pride too within herself that she did it. She did it anyways. I have a saying. I'd like your take on it too. I'm uncomfortable, and then I add 2 words. So what?
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable. So what? Life, this is Earth School. Earth School is uncomfortable a lot of the time, actually, if we're being real. Yeah. So what? I don't know. Do you think that's healthy or not healthy?
I love it. I mean, so if there's 2 things that I'm all constantly doing with people and myself to help us grow and liberate ourselves, it's do what, the fear thing. We talked a lot about that, facing discomfort. And then it's also the acceptance, surrender, being with what is. That's the other side of it.
Right.
And that is really what you're saying when you say, so what, right? Because it's like this constant, I got to be not uncomfortable. I got to be this, I got to be that. And what we're trying to do is we're basically, you can think of life, there's the circle, and it's got the plus and the minus. And every moment of life, for the most part, is a mixed experience.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you.
There's something that's amazing in this moment. This conversation's beautiful. And then maybe there's like a sound in the background, or I'm hungry, or, whatever's happening, or you're on this beautiful moment and this beautiful conversation with a friend, and it's beautiful. And then the food comes and it's like, it's not terrible. It's just okay. So there's always these experiences happening, or you're in this beautiful moment of love, and you also have a little wisp of a memory of a previous partner. And it's just like, oh, a little sadness, something, and And if we're trying to get rid of that, like, no, I can't feel sad. No, I can't feel uncomfortable. No, I have to love everything. I have to, then we're never satisfied because it's always mixed. So we could say, yeah, the food's, not the greatest. So what? Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable. So what? And then what that allows us to do is to be fully open to what else is happening. What else is happening is I'm having a beautiful conversation. What else is happening is I can smell the air and it's fresh and alive, and I'm alive. And we start to expand our awareness, like maybe even all the way out to the galaxies. And we realize that it's all happening, and there is a perfection even in the discomfort.
Yeah, there is. I want everyone at home to think right now, take a deep breath in. Whenever you need to figure something out, breathe. Breathe deep into the bottom of your lungs. That's where the oxygen feelers are, collectors. Breathe deep and ask the question, what little thing could I do right now or today towards this idea of freedom, this idea of getting comfortable with the uncomfortable? What little thing are you called to do today towards finding your freedom and your joy? And then once you have it, write it down. If you don't have a pen, put it in your phone. And then schedule it. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do that thing? Who are you going to call? What are you going to do? Get really clear and then schedule it. And then do that thing. And I'd love to hear your comments and your takeaways from this, and whether you actually go and do that thing and what happens, and to see that you survived it. And actually, more than survived it, you thrived. You thrived in it. Awesome. Amazing. So, Dr. Aziz, you have a website. I want to direct everyone to draziz.com. We have a few minutes. And what would you like to direct the audience to today?
On that site? Or what? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's the best place to start, because you can find out a lot about this process. The one thing I want people to know is that this is a learnable skill, and you can learn confidence, basically.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I want to give you a taste of that, not just tell you it's possible. Good luck, right? It's like, no, let me show you. So if you go to that site, you can get a free mini course called 5 Steps to Unleash Your Inner Confidence. You practice those 5 steps, it will make a shift. You'll notice it, and then you'll be, wow, what else can I do? I have a podcast and a YouTube channel. You can find out about both of those from the site as well under resources. And I have books, a lot of books I've written about this.
So many.
You can find on that website. You can also go to Amazon or Audible and just look up Dr. Aziz there as well.
So your book, Not Nice, I was so programmed at the time that I was given that book that I realized I'm like, I'm not even comfortable reading a book that says not nice, because my identity is I'm nice.
Yeah.
What do you mean not nice? That can't be right. Right. And ooh, wow, did you get me thinking? And I read it, and it is amazing. I highly recommend it. The other book I really love is On Your Own Side. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's On My Own Side. Yeah.
On My Own Side. What if we were on our own side? What? Imagine what would change in your life. So highly, highly recommend those 2 books. Go to draziz.com, check it out. And if you're serious about getting your shit together in this specific subject, Dr. Aziz is your person. He really is. I trust him completely. And that's why he is here. That's why he's here. So we have a few minutes left. What is another nugget that they could literally take away with today? A step that they could practice at home. Yeah,
this is so key. Call it facing the dragon. So yes, we talked about doing the stuff that scares you out there and taking the action, and you're not actually most afraid of the response. Well, but they're not going to like me. They're going to judge me. Yeah, I get it. You're afraid of those. But think of it like there's a cave in a mountain, and there's these little dragons flying around. That's the dragon. They're going to judge me and this and that, but that's not the real dragon that we're most afraid of. We have to go into the cave, and in that cave is the dragon that we really don't want to face. And that's how I'm going to feel, what I experience inside if I imagine you don't like me, or if someone doesn't want to talk to me, or someone ignores me or says no to me. And we will feel all kinds of things. We'll feel, shame or worthless or fear of the future, all these things. And then we spend our lives trying to run from that, trying to control. I got to make sure this person says yes to me. I got to not ask so that they don't get upset and this and that. And we're doing all this complex chess out there because we're running from in here. And so the most powerful thing that I'll guide clients through is processes to help you move towards that. And it's really as simple as it sounds. It helps at first to do this in a quiet environment where you can be not disturbed. And you close your eyes and you imagine, someone saying no to you. Maybe it just happened. That's a great time to do it, is afterwards and you're feeling bad, is you close your eyes and you bring your attention actually to where it'll be hurting in your body somewhere. It'll be squeezing, empty, quivery, something is happening.
Yeah.
And instead of running from it, you do two things. You approach and allow.
Mm-hmm.
So you move towards it and you allow. And it's as simple as it sounds, but when you will find there's a lot of ways that you are trying to get away from it. And you don't need to do this in some intense, like grit your teeth, like you're trying to get through something. It's a gentle, curious, and compassionate process. It's like, wow. Like you're being with a kid who's sick at night. It's got a fever or something. You're just you can't like take the fever away, but you're with them and you're holding them and you're loving them. And that's how you are with yourself. And that's part of being on your own side. And for some people, they're very good at nice people are very good at doing this for everyone else. And then with themselves, they're not nice. They're brutal. They're awful, abusive sometimes even. Yeah. And at the very least, maybe just kind of dismissive, like, ugh, feelings, what's wrong with you? And we want to shift that. That's another pattern that will continue until we change it. And it's like, what I feel matters, and I'm going to attend to it. And what's amazing is I've helped people where they are utterly freaked out to do something in the world. And we sit with it for 5, 7, 10 minutes. And it's like, yeah, I can have that conversation now.
Right.
Because we faced the worst of it, which is just our own feelings. And then we get to see what really happens in the world.
Woo! Yes. Do you feel it's best to put your finger on it? Like where you feel it in the body, just put your finger on it?
I love it. Finger, hand, something that kind of keeps you anchored to really following it. And notice if you're really in your head about it, like, what's this? And how do I fix it? And where did it come from? And like, okay, later, let's just go. I like to think of the surface of the ocean. It's choppy waves. And then you drop down, no matter how stormy it is on the surface, you drop down 5, 10, 30 feet.
Yeah.
It's still, right? So you drop down right to where it is and bring that. I think of it as a spaciousness, like you're letting it move and you're giving as much space to it as possible. And your hand can be helpful for reminding us of that.
And let me know what you think, if you agree. Something that helps me is I feel the feeling in my body, and then I ask, is it solid, gaseous, goopy, or liquid? And then when I realize them, then you just say, interesting. There's no judgment about it. It's just, I've got a solid chunk of, is it more stone or metal? And this keeps you in the body and out of the mind. And then you're like, I have like a stone there. Interesting. And I just put my finger there and I just place it and like, there's a stone there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it dissolves. It just evaporates or goes, or sometimes I'll just like grab it and like throw it a little bit. Like, I don't need this anymore. I'm done carrying it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I love it. Yeah. Well, you're describing when you get curious about the shape and the texture or color, or all these things, it's giving your mind something to focus on other than what's wrong and how do I get rid of it or something.
Right.
And you're increasing that, allowing that acceptance of it. Another beautiful technique with this is to notice the shape, the stone, the goop, whatever. And you could even imagine temporarily, just like imagine it outside. Like here's, I got this like rock right here. Imagine that rock were right on the table next to you and really seeing it. Like you can do it with your eyes closed, right? But is it the shape of it, the texture of it? And then you ask yourself this question: am I willing to let this rock be there? And if inside you're like, no, I hate that rock, then that's the place to go. and find the part inside you. It's like, no, 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 no. And you be with that. What's the shape of that? What, is that goopy? Is that, because ultimately it's like, yeah, it can be here. You can be here.
Yeah.
And then at some point you're like, oh yeah, I don't need that anymore. It's okay. But we don't get to it by trying to push it out, fight it out. And then it just, think of it like a family member or something. You can't vote them off the island, right? You try to get rid of it, and then you tell the kid, get out of the room, and the kid's like, I'm going to stay in the room, right? And now you got this big fight inside.
Yeah.
And we just say, yeah, you can stay here.
Exactly.
And now we get to move on.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Aziz. Thank you for being here. Can you believe we're out of time already? It's so wild how fast this
Flies
goes.
when you're talking about liberation.
Right, freedom. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to have you back at the end for your golden nugget. Excited to hear that from you. And right now, it is time for Mantra Magic. Thank you, Dr. Aziz.
Thank you.
So good. So here is a beautiful little topic in mind, and a mantra is there to help reprogram the mind, because often we're saying things that aren't helping, and this is something that will help. So here's your mantra magic for the week.
The way I talk to myself is the way I manifest. The way I talk to myself is the way I manifest. I love me, I trust me, I honor me. I love me, I trust me, I honor me. I love me, I trust me, I honor me.
Amazing. All right, it's time for meditation moment. Remember to grab everyone in the house. It's just 5 minutes to bliss. 5 minutes to bliss. Get everybody. It's time. All right, so this is where we take 5 minutes to get present. And when we're present, we're not in our messed up past, which we're often focusing on, or our projected messed up future, which we're also often focusing on. This is a moment to be right here, right now. And right here, right now is a beautiful, beautiful place. So we have music from Gary Malkin. He's a multi-Emmy winner, composer. He's sharing this. So take a deep breath in, sit down quietly, and breathe. And on the exhale, do ah. Yeah. Another deep breath in. And exhale. And now I want you to just notice your breath. Just breathing normally. And now I want you to notice, how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling crappy or happy? Don't make it right or wrong, good or bad. Just notice. And say, interesting. And now notice what thoughts are running through my head. Are they thoughts of the past, or are they more thoughts of the future? Or are you right here, right now, with me in this moment? Again, don't make it right or wrong, good or bad. Just notice. and say, interesting. And now I want you to visualize a flame flickering right in front of your eyes. Notice the reds, the yellows, whites, golds, orange. Just notice and breathe. Now I want you to slowly let that flame slide right into the middle of your head. And watch it flicker there. And breathe. With your hands on your heart, I want you to think of one thing you are so grateful for that brings a smile to your face. And while you're in this beautiful expanded place, I'm going to send you a Diksha. It's an energetic activation. It's sent with love. All you have to do is set the intention to receive. And with a deep breath in and exhale. Another deep breath in and exhale. And then start to flutter your eyes. Come back to right here, right now. And I'm going to bring Dr. Aziz back on. How was that for you?
Thank you, Amy. That was awesome. Yeah, it's amazing how much can shift in just a several minutes.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oof. So good. So good. I had a thought about that. Oh, it's called Serene Mind Practice. And I learned it from my beautiful spiritual teachers from India. And yeah, it's a life changer. Do it a few times a day, and yeah, you'll approach life completely differently. Yeah. So I would love to know, Dr. Aziz, we have 2 minutes. Your golden nugget, if you are on the top of a mountaintop with a really good speaker system and the 8 billion plus souls were at the foot of the mountain listening and paying attention, and you had one thing to share with them, what would that be?
I love this question. You might think that in order to have the life that you want and have the love that you want and the success that you want, that you have to somehow be radically different than you are, be maybe almost a different person, and that's for other people but not for you. And that's what I believed for many years. And so confidence is when I'm awesome, when I've achieved, when everyone loves me, when I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
And that is not true, and that's not how it works, and that you actually can create an extraordinary life of love and purpose and connection and success and wealth and abundance as you are, truly as you are. In fact, the more you embrace who you are, own who you are unapologetically, get on your own side, really celebrate, receive who you are in this incarnation, and start to own it and celebrate it, and courageously ask and put yourself out there and share vulnerably, everything unfolds, and you get to really create a beautiful life. And that's true for you. And any story otherwise is just that. It's like it's an obstacle, but it's a mist, it's vapor, and you can walk right through it.
Oof. Visualize that. Visualize walking right through it with ease and grace. What if? It's so possible. Thank you, Dr. Aziz. I love you. I'm so grateful you're on this planet and that I get to be here at the same time. How great is that? Thank you, all of you watching. I love you. I honor you. I see you. Remember that together we vibrate higher. And that, my friends, changes the world. We'll see you next week. Besos. Mwah. Thank you for watching Get Your Shit Together live with Amy Joy. If you'd like to follow us, you can on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Amy Joy Coaching. Appreciate so much your likes, comments, and shares. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please reach out. We'll see you next time.